Jai Sriman Narayan. Jai Sriman Narayan. Jai Sriman Narayan. I pay my obeisances to my spiritual master, Srimad Jagadguru Sudarshan Acharyaji Maharaj. I pay my obeisances to Lord Sri Ramanuj. I pay my obeisances to Mother Lakshmi. And I pay my obeisances to Lord Sriman Narayan. I welcome all of you here physically at the Sri Narayan Dham. I welcome those of you that's watching this discourse live, locally, nationally and internationally. And I welcome in advance those that's going to be watching this discourse when it is posted in YouTube and the various groups from around the world subsequently. I want to take this opportunity firstly in asking my audience present here and those of you that's watching and going to be watching this discourse to acknowledge the great work done tonight in the bhajans by three of our children from the three Sri Narayan Dham. Those of you present can give them a round of applause. Today, Mataji and Srinibai, who were unable to attend this satsang, and these three took it upon themselves to render beautiful, tantalizing spiritual bhajans. And I'm sure everyone here enjoyed the bhajans and the playing of the Nal. This is the reason gurus take the birth to plant the seed of absolute truth more in the youth than in the older generation. And I want to explain as follows. Rahil Bhai, if somebody were to tell you that Shalen is not your father, what would be your reaction? Sorry? No. Talking biologically, if somebody had to tell you Shalen is not your father, and freak out. For how long? Dana, if somebody had to tell you your father was not your father,
will we trust till the time of find the truth?
Dana, if somebody had to tell you your father was not your father, what would be your reaction?
Trust.
For how long?
Till I find the truth.
And I am not answering the question. If somebody told you your father was not your father, what would be your reaction?
Trust for a long time.
And then?
Look for the truth.
Where will you find the truth?
Well, in the birth certificate, or ask my mother.
You write, you do it, and if the DNA confirms that your father is not your father. Sorry? I'm saying if the DNA testing confirms that your father is not your father, how will you accept it? So emotionally, how will you accept it? You said you'll be freaked out. So will you still be freaked out? Be happy Shalen is not your dad. No, really. You won't be happy. Okay? And then that somebody presents you with your real dad. After you have been proven that Shalen is not your dad, and then somebody introduces you to your real dad. Would you do a DNA test? So you do a DNA test, and after the DNA test, turn the speaker on. Right. After the DNA test. Sorry? No, I'm saying, I'm talking about your emotion and your acceptance. So a DNA test was done, and the person introduced now proved to be your father. You'll accept it. Emotionally, how will you accept it? How long will it take you to call him dad? It'll be difficult to call your new dad, dad. And what would you do with your old relationship with Shalen? You'll maintain it. So, as a son, you are in a very difficult position, isn't it? But the truth, the DNA testing proved that the second person is your dad. But it is very difficult for you to accept the second person as daddy. As daddy. Because Shalen is Shalen, unique. Alright? So this is my predicament as a guru in the Sri Sampradaya. This is my predicament as a guru in the Sri Sampradaya. For a very long time in Sanatan Dharma, people have chosen various deities to be God. Some worship Hanuman Baba as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Some worship Mother Kali as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Some worship Mother Durga as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Some worship Lord Shiva as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And some worship Lord Ganesha as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Like in the case of Rahil Bhai, when it is pointed out that the father he thought was his father, and somebody informed him that the person who he lived with all his life is not his father, the first thing he had to do was go and do a DNA testing. Then, after the DNA testing, he had to do the DNA testing of that person who was now introduced to as his father. And in the material world, DNA testing is absolute. Notwithstanding the DNA testing, his love for his fake dad, Shalem, his love for his fake dad, Shalem, that's the guy that decorates our ashram. This decor you see, I'm talking to the viewers. Shalem Bhai is the man in charge of this decor. That when he found out, although he knew through irrefutable evidence that his dad is not his real dad, his attachment, his emotional attachment, because of time of so many years embracing Shalem as his dad, would not allow him to immediately accept that DNA tested dad of his. And this is the problem that we are having in the Sri Sampradaya. When we are telling you, Mother Kali is not the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Lord Ram in that incarnation is not the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Lord Sri Krishna in that incarnation is not the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Lord Shiva is not the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Lord Ganesha is not the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then we have to do a testing to prove that these entities are not the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That spiritual DNA testing is found in the Vedas. That spiritual DNA testing is found in the Vedas. And the three authorities in the Vedas which can verify who the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the four Vedas, the Bhagavad Gita, and the Brahma Sutras. So if this DNA testing of Rahil Bhai went to a magistrate's court and he was not satisfied with the outcome, then what would he do? He will?
Appeal the process.
And which court will it go to? It will go to the Supreme Court. And if he was not happy in the outcome in the Supreme Court, what will he do?
Constitution.
He will appeal and then it will be taken to the Constitutional Court. That Constitutional Court will tell Rahil that Shalem, and if he has to give a description, what will be the description? That short, bald-headed man with the huge head who sleeps in satsang at the Sri Narayan Dham is not your father. Then Rahil have to accept it. Similarly, you have the Bhagavad Gita and you have the four Vedas. And if there is any confusion between the Bhagavad Gita and the four Vedas, then you go to the highest authority, and that is the Brahma Sutras. And the Brahma Sutras will tell you that which is confusing you to be the truth. The truth. And the truth, according to the Brahma Sutras, is Lord Sriman Narayan is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is cast in stone. Like Rahil, he can scratch his hair, he can beat his chest. He can't change that DNA testing. He can get upset with himself.
Freak out.
He can freak out. Alright? And if he doesn't know how to really freak out, he can ask Shavan. Shavan is a guru that can teach him how to freak out. Shavan is the freak out guru. Alright? So Rahil has everything that he needs to consider. You understand, Sita?
Yes.
You understanding everything so far?
Yes.
On Dad's birthday?
Yes.
It makes sense to you? So, this system, if it exists in a minuscule, material understanding, then how potent this system will be to endorse a spiritual understanding. How? You understand? If man can verify with evidence, then don't you think your Supreme Father, who is your Supreme Father? Who?
Lord Narayan.
Lord Narayan. Don't you think he would have provided adequate evidence for his children to know how to find him? Don't you think? Sita?
Yes.
Biological father is a father in one lifetime. Or maybe 2 or 3, depending on the circumstances. spiritual father, Lord Sriman Narayan, is the father of all lifetimes eternally. If you have a system to corroborate your material father, then how many times greater will there be a system to understand your spiritual father? How many times? DNA testing was only found out yesterday, isn't? The Vedas, the spiritual DNA, rock solid proof, exists eternally. Exists eternally. All of you understand? So what happens and why it happens like this? Why isn't everyone accepting the knowledge that the spiritual father is who he is? And why was this knowledge of him taken away in the very first place? Where would you find this answer? And who will give you this answer? And who should rightfully give you this answer?
God Himself.
God Himself. So let's see what God has to say. So I'm reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam of Kamala Subramaniam, the 15th edition, page 243. Srimad Bhagavatam, 15th edition, Kamala Subramaniam, page 243. Narayana said, open quotation, when I want to destroy a man, I grant him all the wealth and power in the world. He then gets involved in them and forgets his real nature. If, however, I desire to save a man from this illusion, I take away his wealth, his all. Rid of all his faults, he will become mine. Once he is saved, my bhakta will never be destroyed. You understand? Who is responsible for you forgetting God?
God Himself.
You heard this quote, Lord Narayan will take everything away from you if he wants you to connect to Ramita?
Connect
Connect to whom?
to him.
To him. And if he wants you to forget him, Sita, what will he do? He'll give you all the wealth and the power, and within all the wealth and power, what happens? You forget God. All of you understand? So when you are down and out, Rahil, is it a good position or a bad position? That's when you're in satsang. That's when you're in satsang. Generally, if you're down and out, you are in karma. But if you are connected in satsang and you are down and out, it means Lord Narayan is ridding you of your karma and is making you his bhakta, and he is telling you that I am your spiritual dad. Your spiritual dad. Now you can relinquish your biological dad, Rahil, without a thought. Give him a hand. Okay? I wonder what Chalen Bhai is doing. Okay, Rahil Bhai, you have to face this, alright? But Lord Narayan will protect you. You should get a copy of the Vishnu Puran and let your dad have a look. Alright? How he saved Prahlad. Okay? Coming back. So I'm using this verse so that you can understand, especially my camera woman. Okay, Dr. Singh. Because a few months ago she was very, very frustrated. The Sri Narayan Dham and the material opulence of the Sri Narayan Dham compared to other flourishing ashrams around the world, and she wanted to know that you are expounding Lord Narayan and he is the highest personality of Godhead, Acharyaji. And why don't we have an ashram built in gold? You have your answer, Dr. Singh. Because those gurus, if you go on YouTube, if you go on Facebook, you'll find that those gurus who are not advocating Lord Sriman Narayan as the Supreme Personality of Godhead have become very, very rich. Have you all seen? They preach and they also run a business simultaneously through their linked through their preaching. Linked through their preaching. Because Lord Narayan has given them wealth and power. They are very powerful gurus. They are attending meetings in the UN. They are attending World Economic Forums. The Western world has been misled by these commercialized gurus. They are selling yoga. They are selling products. One of the gurus said, how can God have 4 arms and he ridiculed the 4 arms of Lord Narayan. Okay, and he calls himself a guru. He has a lot of material knowledge. He also uses knowledge from the Vedas when he is discoursing. He must be a zillionaire by now. Alright? Must be a zillionaire by now. Because Lord Narayan pushed him there. Who pushed him there? Lord Narayan. So, divergent philosophies there are here fake dads. Alright? Divergent philosophies. Is also impelled by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because if God does not want you, if you are not respecting the scriptures, then He will push you away and make you a very powerful guru and a very commercial and wealthy guru. You understand? This works in both ways. Because currently the world is, instead of coming out of confusion by gurus, they are getting more confused by these gurus. Because they are expounding not what's in the Vedas, they are expounding from their own experiences. Okay? They are expounding from their own experiences. So in Kali Yuga, there is a prescription. There is a prescription on how to attain God. And one of the scriptures that we use to determine the absolute truth are the auxiliary scriptures called the Puranas. And the Garud Puran is spoken by Lord Brahma when he is in Sat Gun. And only Puranas spoken in Sat Gun, provided that they are not in contradiction with the 3 authorities, that is the Vedas, the Bhagavad Gita and the Brahma Sutras. If a Purana is not in contradiction, then we take it as absolute truth. So let's see, do you all know who Garud is? Garud is, there are how many types of souls?
8.4 million.
How many types of souls?
3 types.
3 types. Eternally liberated souls, that means they were never in bondage. Then there's liberated souls, souls that were in bondage that are now liberated. And then there's souls that are still in karma. So we in the universe, material universes, are souls that are still in karma. Those of us that were here and got liberated, that's the second type. And third type is those who never contaminated themselves with nescience, and hence they never underwent karma. And Garuda is one of those souls who is eternally pure. And he is a devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He serves the Supreme Personality of Godhead as his transporter. And Garuda asked Lord Narayan the secrets of pure devotion. And here's what was said. In Satyuga, concentrating one's mind above one on God's form gets one a great reward which one receives in Treta Yuga by worshipping God with all the paraphernalia. In Dwapara Yuga, Lord's ritual worship ensures great reward which one only gets by chanting Lord's name in Kali Yuga. So, in Satyuga, meditation, Treta Yuga, gorgeous sacrifices. In Dwapara Yuga, deity worship. And in Kali Yuga,
Chanting the holy names.
chanting on the Lord's
Name.
name. And what you saw yesterday shown, Prahlad, what he was chanting? And by chanting Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, what happened to him? Ultimately, it means simply by chanting the Lord's name, you will be protected. You will be protected. Because we belong in the Sri Sampradaya, then our mantra will be
Om Namo Narayan.
Om Namo Narayana Ya. Om Namo Narayana Ya. For that mantra you have to take initiation. Up until initiation you can use Om Namo Vasudevaya or any of the other mantras. You understand? So, like the DNA testing of Rahil Bhai, which proved irrefutable, this injunction that in Kali Yuga you only have to chant the Lord's name and you will be protected is cast in stone. Is cast in stone. So I'm reading to you section 68 of the Mahanarayana Upanishad. section 68 of the Narayana Upanishad. And this section says, Om, that is Brahman, Om, that is Vayu, Om, that is the finite self, Om, that is the supreme truth, Om, that is all, Om, that is the multitude of citadels, in brackets, the bodies of creatures. Salutations to him. So, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Next verse, verse 2, in section 68. That Supreme Being moves inside the heart of created beings possessing manifold forms. O Supreme, Thou art the sacrifice. Thou art the expression Vasat. Thou art Indra. Thou art Rudra. Thou art Brahma. Thou art Prajapati. Thou art that. Thou art the water in the rivers and the oceans. Thou art the sun. Thou art flavor. Thou art ambrosia. Thou art the body of the Vedas. Thou art the threefold world, and thou art Om. So who is Om? Lord Narayan. Who is Brahma? Lord Narayan. Who is Shiva? Lord Narayan. Who is Ganesha? Lord Shiva's son. Who is Lord Narayan? Who is Durga? Lord Shiva's wife. Who is Lord Narayan. Do you understand? So Ganesha is Lord Narayan. Lord Shiva is Lord Narayan. Lord Brahma is Lord Narayan. Lord Indra is Lord Narayan. Lord Vayu is Lord Narayan. All the Devis and Devtas is Lord Narayan. How? Because Lord Narayan lives in the soul of everyone. Lord Narayan lives in the soul of Lord Shiva and rules Lord Shiva from within. Lord Narayan lives in the soul of Lord Brahma and rules Lord Brahma from within. Lord Narayan lives in the soul of Ganesha and rules Lord Ganesha from within. Who is Hanuman Baba?
Lord Ram.
Hanuman Baba is the incarnation of Lord Shiva, and Lord Narayan also lives in the soul of Hanuman Baba. So Lord Narayan is in everything, and everything is in Lord Narayan, and this is the purport called Vishishtadvaita. This is the purport called Vishishtadvaita, and Vishishtadvaita is absolute Vedanta, because I read all of these texts from Vedanta. So after discourses like this, which we are banking, I think this is discourse number 21, which we are banking in the universe, like Rahil and his pain and agony and his freaking out of knowing that Shalen is not his dad, we understand that the followers of Hanuman Baba, the followers of Lord Sri Ganesha, the followers of all these Devis and Devtas who believed that these Devis and Devtas are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they will also undergo turbulence in their emotions. So some of them will be very upset with who? Don't shoot the messenger, you know. I want to just tell them, please don't shoot the messenger. I'm only stating the absolute truth from the highest authorities called the Brahma Sutras, and in the Brahma Sutras only Lord Narayan is cast in stone as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then we go into the Upanishads. In the Upanishads, only Lord Narayan is cast in stone as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Vishnu Puran is the total purport of Vedanta, and it's regarded as the highest Puran. The Vishnu Puran endorses Lord Narayan as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The four Vedas endorses Lord Narayan as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Purusha Sukta that are found in the Vedas endorses Lord Narayan as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Narayana Sukta, which is found in the Vedas, endorses Lord Narayan as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And in the Bhagavad Gita itself, Lord Sri Krishna cast in stone that Lord Narayan is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the Ramayana of Valmiki, it is cast in stone that Lord Narayan is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the Mahabharata itself, in which Lord Sri Krishna takes part, therein it is endorsed that Lord Narayan is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, the supreme evidence and the auxiliary evidence all point that Lord Narayan is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which means that Vishishtadvaita is absolute Vedanta. Jai Sriman Narayan.